How could someone transport $400,000 worth of unconventional items onto an airplane? The straightforward answer is that it shouldn't be done. However, ingenious individuals have attempted it in some of the most unconventional and fascinating ways imaginable. From disguising a turtle as a KFC burger to a woman bringing her late husband on a plane, these stories challenge our perceptions. Stay alert, as not everything is as it seems when we explore the craftiness of some of the most intriguing smugglers throughout history. Sarcophagus. Not everyone is a fearless jet-setter, and for some the thought of flying solo is just too spooky. Picture this. In 2008, eagle-eyed agents at Miami Airport caught someone trying to breeze through customs with a 3,000-year-old mummy. And no, I didn't misspeak. It was a sarcophagus, not just any mummy. This ancient sarcophagus was designed for Prince Imezi, a high-flying Egyptian nobleman, though to be fair he'd long since departed the premises. Imagine the head-scratching spectacle as an empty 21st dynasty coffin made its rounds on the luggage carousel. What really had officials flabbergasted was the no-show of any shipping documents for this peculiar artifact. Now, getting an ancient sarcophagus from Egypt to Miami usually involves enough paperwork to fill a pyramid, but in this case, nothing. Going down the rabbit hole, investigators found out that this coffin had pulled a disappearing act from Egypt back in the 1970s. After playing hide-and-seek underground and briefly starring in a Madrid exhibit in 2007, the importer attempted to smuggle it into the US in 2010, probably for a buyer with a taste for the eccentric. Luckily, justice triumphed, and the precious prince's final resting place was shipped back to Egypt, where it belongs. Now all we need is to sweet-talk Britain into returning the eclectic mix of goodies they've gathered over the centuries. International treasure diplomacy, anyone? Case for freedom. Steering clear of the smuggling life is my thing. Who needs jail when there's no Chick-fil-A for Papa's waffle fries? But it's not just me dodging the clink. Iban Jose Vargas Garcia tried his own version of the Great Escape. He had his own jailbreak dreams. Serving a solid 9 years and 8 months for car robbery in Venezuela, Iban decided he'd had enough. So he whips up a genius plan to smuggle himself out. Now it doesn't go as smooth as butter. Enter Antonia Torres SAA, Iban's sweetheart. She visits him, dragging a massive pink suitcase. Guards get curious. Why is she hauling a suitcase in the first place? When she leaves, struggling to drag it along, they're onto something. They stop her. Lo and behold, when they pop open that pink suitcase, there's Iban, curled up like a surprise party. Packing your troubles? He took it literally, spinal problems and all. Guards haul him back to his cell for a chat about life choices. Antonia doesn't escape from the drama. She gets her own detention. Look on the bright side, these lovebirds can request adjoining cells, the epitome of a prison romance. And like these two, show some love to the like and subscribe buttons. It's a 2-for-1 deal. Now let's dive back into the video for more laughs. Snake smuggler, raking in a jaw-dropping $20 billion annually for criminal markets. Talk about a wild underworld. Now, many animals are strictly off-limits for private ownership, but that just makes them more attractive to criminals looking to make a quick buck. Take a Norwegian citizen, for instance. This guy thought he could outsmart customs officials, but they caught on when they noticed something beneath his shirt was doing a dance of its own. And what did they find? Brace yourself, 14 pythons individually coiled up inside socks. Yep, socks turned into slithering cribs. They were just babies, but come on, that's no way to treat any creature. But wait, there's more. When authorities asked him to drop his trousers, the nerve, they discovered another 10 cans taped to his legs. And what's inside? Albino gecko lizards, because apparently his socks weren't already packed. In Norway, keeping many types of reptiles as pets is a no-go, so reptile smuggling isn't exactly unheard of. This slick criminal, however, wasn't as sly as he thought. He ended up with a hefty fine for his animal antics, and rightly so. Lesson learned, wildlife belongs in the wild, not in your socks or taped to your legs. Yoke's on you. The real risk of being any kind of mule is, of course, the fear of getting caught. Nobody wants to be the one with egg on their face, but for Jeffrey Lendrum in 2018, his biggest concern wasn't having egg on his face, it was having egg everywhere else. Picture this. Caught at Heathrow Airport in London, Jeffrey was packing a stash of 19 rare bird eggs strapped to his body. Now, how did he manage this feat? Well, with a contraption that looked like it was designed by someone playing a game of hide the eggs. Jeffrey attempted to conceal 17 rare hawk eggs, an eagle egg and a vulture egg against his chest. Oh, and let's not forget he had 2 chicks in an incubator that decided to make an early entrance into the world. These eggs, if sold on the bird black market, could fetch a staggering $125,000. But hold on, this wasn't Jeffrey's first rodeo. Back in 2010, he was stopped in Dubai with 14 peregrine falcon eggs strapped to his stomach, landing him a cozy 30 months behind bars. And in 2015, he was at it again, caught stealing falcon eggs from Patagonia. Now you'd think after all these escapades he'd come up with a smarter plan, right? Nope. Jeffrey claims it's not about the money. He insists he's trying to protect the birds because their native habitat is being destroyed by tree felling. What he fails to realize, though, is that when these eggs hatch and the chicks are raised by humans, they can't be returned to the wild. So in trying to be a bird superhero, Jeffrey might just be causing more harm than good. What a bird-brained bozo. Throw it in the trunk. I'll never forget the time my dad caught me puffing darts behind the shed. He made me smoke the whole pack on the spot to teach me a lesson. But you know what? That's nothing compared to the wild world of smuggling. In 2015, a bunch of Russian smugglers got caught trying to sneak 500,000 Belarusian cigarettes inside a hollowed-out tree trunk. My lungs ache just thinking about it. Here's the lowdown. These cigarettes were en route to the UK and Germany, where a pack can cost a whopping $15 due to sky-high taxes. But in Belarus, they're a steal at just $1.50. Talk about a price difference. So illegal cigarette smuggling is like a rampant hobby, costing European countries over $10 billion each year in lost tax revenue. Major bummer. Now, these Russian smuggling maestros would have pulled off their grand plan if they'd remembered one tiny detail. I might not be a science whiz, but even I know that the center of a tree trunk weighs more than a bunch of cig packs. When the authorities swung by to check out this massive log, it was as light as a feather. Cue the facepalm moment. Obviously, something fishy was going on. So the smugglers' future ended up like their smuggled goods, up in smoke. Lesson learned, never underestimate the weight of a tree trunk, especially when you're trying to sneak stuff inside. Seat for sore eyes. You've probably heard the rumors, and guess what? It's true. Life is indeed a highway. Well, at least until you hit the US-Mexico border crossing. In 2021 alone, a whopping 1.6 million undocumented folks were caught trying to make their way across. Yikes, that's a lot of folks trying to ride that not-so-open road. Now let's talk about an incident at the Calexico West Point of entry. An 18-year-old woman was attempting to cruise through in a sleek black Mitsubishi, but the Border Patrol's trusty canine had a nose for mischief and sent something fishy beneath the back seats. When the agents lifted them up, lo and behold, a 48-year-old man was playing hide-and-seek under there. Talk about a heated situation. That poor guy must have been cooking beneath those seats. Now, hiding underneath seats is a bit rookie, don't you think? Want to know what the real pros do? They become the seat. Back in 2001, Enrique Aguila Canula had the genius idea of stitching himself into a car seat while attempting to cross California's San Isidro border. Now, just imagine the border officer's reaction. "Excuse me, ma'am, mind if we check the back seats quickly?" And boom, there's Enrique stitched into the seat like the ultimate undercover agent. Can you picture the scene? "Hey, Carl, come look at this. Wait, did you bring the camera? Jerry? Jerry, get over here. Bring your camera. You won't believe this. Hey, where's Clyde? I don't care if he's on lunch. Tell him to put down his sweaty bologna sandwich and get over here. Hey, buddy, say cheese." Okay, I know it's a serious matter, but the mental image of Enrique stitched into the seat just tickles my funny bone. Let's be real, there's no way that plan was ever going to work. Fish pants. When I'm flying, I aim for pure comfort. We're talking sweatpants, hoodies and sneakers. The last thing I want is to be crammed into a tiny seat for 8 hours, especially not with an apron full of fish. But guess what? Sharon May Smith took in-flight comfort to a whole new level on her journey from Singapore to Melbourne. Picture this. Sharon wore an apron loaded with 15 water-filled plastic bags containing a whopping 51 live fish. And we're not talking about your average-sized fish. We're talking about big ones. One bag held a Queen Arabesque pleco, another had a Burmese border loach, and there was even an arowana in the mix, worth a staggering $37,500. Unfortunately for Sharon, she ended up being the border force's unexpected catch of the day. Authorities got suspicious of the constant flapping sounds emanating from her, unique undergarment. Surprisingly, she only got away with 9 months of community service for her fishy crimes. It could have been a lot worse. Think an $83,000 fine and 10 years in prison kind of worse. This flapping felon truly got off the hook with that one. Secret spirits. Now, let's dive into a little history lesson because smuggling is not just a modern-day issue. People have been trying to get their hands on forbidden goods forever. Take the Prohibition era between 1920 and 1933, for example. The US government went full buzzkill mode and banned all booze. Manufacturing, importing, transporting and selling became serious criminal offences. Why, you ask? Well, in moderation there's nothing wrong with alcohol, but the 1920s turned into a free-for-all. Health and hygiene took a nosedive and there was a massive tax burden leading to problems like overcrowded prisons and poorhouses. The government tried a mass abstinence program, but when people want something, they'll find a way to get it. Cue the era of bootlegging, with citizens getting clever about hiding their desired refreshments. For smaller quantities, people could easily conceal booze in custom outfits, but what if you wanted to move large quantities? Enter this cleverly hollowed-out lumber truck designed to safely transport liquor. Sadly, these smart smugglers got caught as federal agents could smell the potent party potion. Trying to outlaw alcohol only created opportunities for more crime. By 1925, New York had anywhere from 30,000 to a whopping 100,000 illegal speakeasy clubs where people could drink in secret. Trust New Yorkers to know how to party, even if it is illegal. Concealing car. If you were, hypothetically speaking, going to smuggle something, where would you stash something in your car? Under the seat? In the glove box? Those are decent ideas, but nowhere near as genius as this pickup mod by Black Sheep Innovations. They've modified the tail lights on a Toyota Hilux to contain a secret compartment. While I don't endorse using it for criminal activities, they suggest it's perfect for guns, tools, or a fishing kit. Personally, I'd load it with hot dogs for my camping trips. Legal and delicious. In the wrong hands, though, it could be used for all sorts of mischief. Now let's shift gears and check out something even more impressive. Brace yourself, this isn't just any pickup. Boom! I don't know who the master mechanic is behind this, but the license plate is from Panama, and for legal reasons let's say they're hiding money and swiftly move on. We don't want any trouble with the YouTube police. Airplane mode. Yeah, I still put my phone on airplane mode when I'm flying. I know it's not necessary anymore, but old habits die hard. You might think I'm silly, but if you were flying with this guy, you'd be praying he does the same. Goodness me, after setting off a metal detector at the border crossing between China and Hong Kong, this Chinese citizen was busted for trying to smuggle a ridiculous 94 iPhones taped to his body. Oh, is it just me or is he kind of slaying? Back in 2015, iPhone 5s and 6s were all the rage, and getting your hands on these heavily favoured handsets in China was darn near impossible. So smugglers bringing the goods in from Hong Kong could make a lot of money. These 94 phones were bought for around $50,000, but they could have been flipped for a lot more. That's not too shabby. When police dug into the man's records, they discovered he was a repeat offender with a long history of smuggling items into China from Hong Kong. It's not looking good for our friend in the iPhone wingsuit, but on the bright side, it could have been a lot worse. All it would take is one text to the wrong number and you might actually make this guy embarrassingly uncomfortable. Fugitive Family. You know when your friends tell you about their vacation and you jokingly ask them to pack you in their suitcase? Surely that's just a silly joke, right? No one's actually... we know where this is going. Yep, horrifyingly, two parents tried smuggling their 8-year-old child from Morocco to the Canary Islands by, hiding him in a suitcase. At least hiring people to do so. Both mum and dad had legally moved to the Spanish islands months earlier, but couldn't bring their son Adal Urara with them for financial reasons. At first, the parents had tried getting Adal to them lawfully, but authorities told them that their income fell short of the national requirement. So Adal's father sought out an unsavoury method of reuniting his family, smugglers. Only the boy's dad had no idea that the people he enlisted to bring his son into the country planned to stuff him into a woman's suitcase. Fortunately, Adal was detected by the baggage scanners and saved from a dangerous journey. A month later, the family was all reunited in Spain, where the boy was granted a year to stay and give the family time to figure out how best to proceed. Nevertheless, I sure hope they learned their lesson from this tough scrape and that Adele is doing a lot better. What a horrible experience to go through. Horrific homecoming. So far, we've seen some pretty shocking things that people have tried to take onto aircraft. However, those are nothing compared to what Geeta Jaran and her daughter Ananas were caught trying to board with at Liverpool's John Lennon Airport. They were rushing through the check-in for their flight to Berlin, pushing Geeta's husband, a 91-year-old Kurt Willie Guerin, in a wheelchair in front of them. But staff couldn't help but notice something unsettling about Mr. Jaran. He was very, very still, like totally unresponsive still, and no one could get a good look at him because of the big dark glasses he was wearing. One brave staff member stepped up to check his pulse and felt her stomach wrench. She couldn't find it. Mr. Jaran was cold and clammy to the touch. Oh my goodness, Kurt was dead. What's more, after inspecting the body, experts determined he'd been dead for up to 12 hours. Goodness me. Geeta and Ananas were arrested for failing to report a dead body, but they claimed that when they got into the taxi from their home in Oldham, just 1 hour's drive away, Kurt had been very much alive. Sure, he looked pale and ropey, but they were insistent he was still kicking it, not kicking the bucket. They just thought he was tired. Turns out Kurt was tired of existence on this planet and went for the big sleep. How bizarre. Whether what they're saying is true or not, I don't know, but they were later released without charge. Still, it's made for one of the strangest stories I've ever heard. I just hope they weren't going to give him the aisle seat. Imagine brushing past a dead dude every time you got to tinkle. Well, that's the end of this video. Feel free to take your boots off after a long day busting crime, huh? Which of those conniving crooks shocked you the most? Let me know down in the comments, and thanks for watching.